What's up, Fantasy Champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.
I heard they want the news. Well, we got it just for you. What's your team, who your player, who your crew? I heard they want the news. The spotlight is on you, and if you in the hot seat, it's times two. I heard they want the news. Come tune in to the crew, but we got the hook up just like black and blue. I heard they want the news. Spotlight Sports, what it do? Hit subscribe and that like button too. I heard they want the news.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to MK Headlines episode 12. And shout out to the Spotlight Sports Network once again for having me on your platform. It's very great. I love having my own show here. It's great. I love you guys. So I have a very special guest. He's a big TikToker in the Philadelphia community, sports community. He's one of the nicest people I actually met. So El Parcero Philly. Sorry if I butchered it. But how you doing, man?
My man, you nailed it. That was perfect. Parcero Philly, thank you so much to Mitch for having me on, man. It is a blast. I appreciate it. The Philly sports TikTok community could be a little bit interesting sometimes, but I appreciate you checking in on some of that content, man. I'm excited to talk some Philly sports, brother.
Dude, it's all I live for. Like,
yes,
seriously,
sir.
If you know me, like, off YouTube, like, off social media, that's all I talk about. Like family, friends, that's all I freaking talk about. I love it. What's good,
we
Vic?
can relate with that one, man.
Oh, yeah. So, we got to get started with the Sixers, especially after that big win last night. 122 to 119 in overtime without Joel Embiid. Give me your initial thoughts on that victory.
To me, I know a lot of people were upset that Joel Embiid sat out due to rest, but I thought it was a brilliant call, and it obviously planned out. It panned out perfectly. You saw a lot of guys step up. You saw team basketball. They put up 30 assists last night. The ball movement was there all throughout the night, and it showed that was a good team they beat. Let's not get that twisted. That Grizzlies team is very darn good, and I'm gonna blow my own horn here. I actually did predict the Grizzlies were going to be one of these top contending Western Conference team before the season started. A lot of people did not predict that, but this team has an edge to it, and that was the perfect team this Sixers team needed to beat. When you have Tyrese Maxey dropping 33, making clutch shots in key moments, Tobias Harris, I thought he did a good job on both sides of the court. He was aggressive. I mean, he put up 25 shots. Now, he was 40% from the field, but what you want to see from Tobias Harris in those type of circumstances is take those shots. Earlier in the year when we were in Memphis and Joel Embiid was out, he only took 12 of those shots. So you just want to see some aggression. You want to see him being active on both sides of the basketball. You had some nice shots made by Danny Green, Georges Niang. Andre Drummond got 23 boards, ladies and gentlemen. So to me, I just love the team effort. I've talked about it before. Obviously, Joel Embiid is one of the most dominating players that we have in the NBA. But when the Sixers team are playing this team basketball, they are moving the ball around. and getting everyone acclimated into it, that is when they are at the most dangerous with this version of the Philadelphia 76ers. And I want to see some more of what we saw last night going forward with the big man Joel Embiid back.
Yeah, I completely agree with you 1,000%. It was so nice to see Tobias Harris do that because in the beginning of the year, he was not doing anything. Then he had COVID, and then once he came back, he wasn't exactly himself, and people wanted him traded. I was one of those people. So with him playing like this now, maybe that can up his trade value, when you think?
Yeah, so for me, look, I'm a realist that I try to look at Philly sports in an optimistic type of lens, but that most importantly, we got to be real with ourselves. Can we upgrade from Tobias Harris 110%? The problem right now is, look, Tobias, right now he's playing really well, right? He's had a couple 30-point games the past couple games, but that contract plus the performances that he puts really doesn't match up, and it's kind of tough to trade him at that point. So I've been on the notion where if this team were able to have a point guard who, number one, is willing to play for this team, right? We don't have to I'm sure we'll talk about Ben Simmons a little bit, but finding a point guard that's willing to play, finding a point guard that's able to facilitate. Ben Simmons really brought a lot out of Tobias Harris, being able to feed him the ball at the right spots. Toby's got to realize, look, that's not there. He's got to find his own shot. And there was times last year where he did that. I know it's extremely frustrating what we've seen so far. And this is what I ask a lot of Sixers fans. If Tobias Harris has to stay here, can he play the Chris Middleton role of what we saw last year in the finals for the Bucks? Can he fit that role? I've seen that at times. I haven't seen that in the playoffs, and that's really when it matters the most. So I think for right now, we are stuck with Harris, unless we get Sacramento Kings that we saw a couple weeks ago, trade proposal, that rumor. I don't think that's something that's probably going to happen. So for right now, the best case scenario for us Sixers fans is that Tobias Harris continues playing at this level, and when Joel Embiid is playing the way we all know he can, I think that is going to bode very, very well for the Philadelphia 76ers, man.
Yeah, and with Tobias, I don't think he would. Sure, we were go with him, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons. I really felt like we could have won the whole thing right there if it wasn't for a Kawhi Leonard shot. But I'm just saying right here, if we trade Tobias, I don't know what we can get back. Like, for me, I don't think we'll get anything from his level or better with Tobias Harris being gone.
Yeah, I think if you're trading Tobias, I think the best case scenario is packaging him with Ben Simmons of some sort of trade, like some of those trade proposals that you have seen. But I mean, if you're talking about trading Toby, just alone, just that piece alone, you're probably may get future draft picks down the line, a role player, 2 role players. So you're really not going to get much for Tobias Harris, and that's why you have a Daryl Morey in the front office, because he's been doing this for so long and he's got a good track record. He's not going to trade Tobias Harris for just a couple role pieces. He knows what wins in this league, and that's impactful players. And for right now, I mean, again, you're unfortunately just kind of stuck with Tobias Harris because of what Elton Brand kind of put us in. And Tobias is kind of not really helping his value either. Now, if Tobias Harris was playing, regularly putting up 30 points, I mean, I think Sixers fans would be content, would want to keep him, but it's just inconsistency with him, man. It's just too much mental with him. Like you mentioned earlier, for most of the season, he was kind of off. We saw that the stuff that went down, it was against the Rockets or the Magic, where he's telling the fans to stop effing clapping and such. So for him, it's just going out and playing those games. I always bring it back to the Knicks game. I don't know if you remember the Knicks game last year. Right after they announced the All-Star teams, Tobias Harris goes up against the Knicks. There was no Ben. There was no Joel. He took over that game. He made clutch shot to clutch shot. And I haven't seen that type of performance since that Knicks game. And that's why, it's hard for me to give up completely on Tobias Harris because I have seen it before. But at this point, this is the NBA. If you can't do it consistently, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I know. Yeah, and people are telling me that if we trade Tobias right now, there's no way we will be a 3rd seed. We will probably be like a lottery team. But I think with Joel Embiid, there's no way that will be a lottery team or a play-in team, with a play-in team. So with Joel Embiid there, we're arguably top 4, you're even top 3 basketball team in the East.
I agree. I mean, you're kind of seeing it right now. This team is a half a game back of first place, and a lot of it has to do with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has really brought the most out of a lot of players, and I even look at Tyrese Maxey. I'll be honest with you, I did not anticipate this from Tyrese. I expected him to be the starting point guard. I didn't expect him to grab the bull by the horns the way he has. He looks like a veteran player. He looks like a 4-year vet here who's helping a playoff team. Very impressive. And I think when you hear Joel and Tyrese talk about their relationship, you understand why it is he's developing at the rate that he is. But, even like Tobias Harris, I do feel like him and Joel have that good chemistry going as well. And I feel like, when he's got those good nights, I feel like that's part to do with Joel. But I feel like a lot of these players are taking those steps. And it's, when you see a guy like Joel Embiid putting his body out on the line and he's putting up, what is it, like 35, 16 and 2, whatever it is, like those type of numbers, you want to elevate your performance as well. You don't want to just see the big man doing all the work, man.
Yeah, and you brought up Tyrese Maxey. I mean, he's really been something. I remember when we drafted him in the second, was it the second round we drafted him?
I think it was 21st overall in the first round last year.
Something like that, but that was a steal. Like, that was a steal no matter where we got him, because he's arguably doing what he's supposed to do. He dropped 37 or 33 last night. He continues to impress everybody. And if we do somehow include him in this whole James Harden trade talks, I would be upset. But to get a superstar like that, I would not be opposed to it. How about you?
That's interesting you say that, Mitch, because I see this fan base. I put that out there. I'm one of these people where if the price is right, I'm okay with parting with Tyrese Maxey, because I'm someone who always has the bigger picture in mind. And the bigger picture for the Sixers right now is that in order for the Sixers to get where we want to go, and that's winning a championship, having a parade down broad, we need that other star, right? And to me, to unlock the ultimate form of Joel Embiid, you get that point guard who can work with the pick and roll with Joel Embiid, who can score on his own. James Harden is one of those guys, but in order to get one of those people, you do need to. No, you're good, man. You do need to. You probably have to part ways with Tyrese Maxey. He's probably your most valuable asset that you have right now on this team, besides Matisse Thybulle. So if it's for the right player, I'm not getting rid of Tyrese Maxey for Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Kelly Olynyk. I'm not putting him in that trade. But if we're talking about a James Harden, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, 100%, I'm parting ways with Tyrese. I love Tyrese, but I understand what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, so do I. Keeping Maxey, I want to keep Maxey too. Thybulle, I can honestly agree with Thybulle here, because, his defense is immaculate, but
yes, sir,
it's an offensive league. So with, with his shooting not being the best, I would not be mad giving up Thybulle, but his cutting ability has really gotten better.
Yeah,
so,
and he's willing to shoot now. He's been taking those shots, and that's really when it comes to Thybulle's offensive game. All right now, I'm expecting, like you said, keep making those runs to the basket, but also if you got the opportunity, just put up the shot. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Now for Lillard, that's a different story. I mean,
what's going on with Dave, man?
I don't want to. Oh my God, I'm telling you, with Lillard, he wants to stay in Portland. I don't understand why. CJ McCollum's back. But I'm telling you, he needs to get out of there. Seriously.
Yeah, and he's hurt right now. So obviously, like, trade talks there's none really happening right now. But even before the trade talks, like, he was staying put. Like, I'm staying in Portland, and I'm with you. I just don't understand. I love the loyalty that he demonstrates year in and year out. He's so loyal to Portland. I love that, but at some point, you just got to ask yourself, like, you are a Hall of Fame player. Like, you're a future Hall of Famer, right? You become one of the best point guards that we've seen in this game. Dude, go get yourself that ring. You're not forming a super team. Like, the whole super team narrative, I get that. I'd be right there with them. I wouldn't want to create a super team, but you're not creating a super team by coming to Philadelphia. You're just teaming up with another star that's going to help you get to where you want to go. And dude, you and Joel are literally the same player, just different styles.
Yeah. I mean, it's just difficult, and we need another star to help Joel Embiid, because with this bench, I said it time and time again, it's too inconsistent. Not a lot of them can put up like 15 points a night. Isaiah Joe put up 10. That was the best of our bench.
That was like a season high, I think, too, last
Yeah.
10 points, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and you're right, and it's like, Furky, it's so infuriating. We talk about inconsistency with Tobias, inconsistency with Furky and Korkmaz. There's nights where he'll drop 20 points, and you're like, okay, he's taking shots, he's being energetic, he's getting after it on defense, and then other nights he's just lost, he's putting up air balls and bricks, and you're just like, what the heck is going on here? So it gets a little tough, and Shake Milton I put in that category as well, obviously. He's still going through that back injury, which I hope he can come back to. It was a nasty fall that he suffered, but right now I agree with you. If we could just find that piece, we can move some guys back down. I like Danny Green coming off the bench. I didn't think I would, but I think for right now with his injuries, I like him coming off the bench. And Georges Niang has been pretty solid coming off the bench as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, Georges Niang, when we got him, I love that because it spreads the floor. He's consistent with it. He does everything that he can to help us get that dub. It's a minivan. How can I deny that guy? Like, seriously.
He's reliable.
Love Niang.
He's reliable. And listen, to me, when you're talking about this team, right, it's all about building around Joel Embiid at this point. It's all about spacing the court to give Joel Embiid the space down low to just do his thing, or even the mid-range game, whatever it is. But it's just about spacing the court so Joel Embiid can do his thing. And look, Ben Simmons, he did provide a lot for us defensively and offensively, especially on those quick transitions, and he just knows how to get the ball in people's hands. But we know that Ben does not want to create his own shot. He doesn't want to shoot. So when you're running 4-on-5 basketball offensively, that's not conducive for winning. But if you're able to put Joel around guys who are able to space the court, man, it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
And Georges Niang is perfect next to Drummond because Drummond can't really shoot. Drummond's a rebounding like god right now. Niang can shoot it. Like, that's a good backup 4 and 5.
Yeah,
but
man.
I just wish we were more consistent, and with Shake Milton being out, that's another big blow.
Yeah, man. And dude, look, you know how this game is working now. It's a much different NBA from even like 5-10 years ago. The 1 through 5 all have to be able to shoot. Like it's just the reality of the game now. Everyone has to be able to shoot. And you just got to find those guys who can shoot at a consistent rate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So if we don't make a trade by the deadline, do you see this team competing in the playoffs with like the Nets, Bulls, Bucks, Heat?
Right. That's obviously the question we're all asking right now. Like, can this team compete with the best of them? Now, come trade that deadline time, I don't anticipate this team shipping out Ben Simmons, and I think that is what we need to do. We have to be patient with this. And I know we all just want to get Joel Embiid help. I do too, but we can't botch this because you know why? If we botch this Ben Simmons trade, you could say goodbye to Embiid. You could say goodbye to whatever left we have of the process years, right? So when I'm looking at trade deadline time, you don't have to go out and get a superstar per se. I would be nice, but you don't per se need to do that. You just mentioned the bench depth. Go out and get yourself a veteran guard. Justin Holiday is out there on the market. Someone that you can get for just giving up 2 second-round picks. Just look at what the Knicks just gave up for Cam Reddish. You could do something like that and help your bench out. You know what I'm saying? So at deadline time, just go get yourself some help, especially out in the wings, and find some depth there. But if we're talking about the way this team is constructed at this very moment, can it compete in the East? I'll be honest with you. All I really see is another second-round exit. I think this team can get a first-round win, especially right now. Look, they're in a good spot. They're a half game back of first, and I do anticipate them to hang around between the 1 and 4 seed for the rest of the season. And I think that they'll be able to get a first-round win. I just don't know if this team has what it takes to outlast the likes of the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, or even the Miami Heat. Those are really the 3 teams I'm really worried about. I'm not entirely too worried about Chicago because although that team does look nice and they're playing really well this year, there's a lot of unproven pieces out there. I mean, DeMar DeRozan has played in a lot of playoff games, but I mean, he hasn't been the most clutch in his career. Zach LaVine as well. Lonzo Ball. I mean, Lonzo we'll see when he comes back, and LaVine's hurt too. So yeah. I think for right now, this team is a second round exit again, from what I see.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And another big problem with us, I feel like, it's Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers, his coaching strategies, his rotations are bad. Give me your opinion on Doc Rivers.
Dude, The Sixers should be called the Philadelphia Inconsistents because that's really what it is all throughout. Doc Rivers to me is another inconsistent guy. It's like last night, I thought that was the way he prepares his teams. I do like I think the way he prepared that team last night, I think was great. But yeah, your in-game decisions are very, very questionable. You know, the media stuff. What are we doing? You know,
Right.
the other night where he's questioning the guy for questioning his coaching after blowing a lead against the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that's a very viable question to ask. I mean, if you blow a 24-point lead, on top of that, you got a record of blowing the most games in playoff history. I think you have the reporter has every right to ask you and question you on your coaching. So I think that I think the locker room definitely believes in Doc. Like these guys come out here every night and give it their all. But the in-game stuff is definitely an issue. And of course, 15 game 7 losses. That's definitely got to be in the back of your mind as well, man. So we'll see what happens this year. I'm very torn because look, what if this team makes a second round again and they lose? Like, do you let Doc go? Because look, this was a tough circumstance that they had to go through this season. Obviously, no one anticipated Ben Simmons to sit out for the season. Like no one anticipated that, and that definitely hurts his team. No one anticipated COVID to be a thing 5 years ago, right? COVID is a very real thing here in the NBA as well. So I'm kind of torn. Like, do you fire him or not? Like, we'll see. But obviously, he's got to make it at least the second round once these playoffs come around.
Yeah. And people are telling me that they think Doc Rivers is overrated. Now, when you go that far with Doc, for me, I don't see him going that far. It's overrated. I don't see it.
That's interesting. I would listen. I still think he's a good coach. I hear a lot of people throw around the finals win, but let's be honest, that was over a decade ago. The game has quite honestly changed a little bit. I think he's a good coach. I think he's above average. I think he's in the top tier of coaching. But there's obviously some better coaches out there. But I think Sixers fans are just a little frustrated. You know, once we, the Ben Simmons stuff and we see Joel Embiid, pretty much carrying this team night in, night out, we get a little frustrated here and there. And we're just looking for people to blame, whether it be Tobias Harris or Doc Rivers. So I just think that we're just a little frustrated here. But I do think he's a good coach.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, with Isaiah Joe not getting a lot of minutes, and he had 2 and 1s from 3. I mean, that is so unreal. And he had 10 points in the first quarter. Can you imagine if he had like Furkan's minutes? And I know he's young. Needs more time. But can you imagine him like with Furkan's minutes?
It's a good point. That is a really good point. I can't fault him too much for that because it's about trust, right? To me at this point, I trust Furkan more than I trust Isaiah Joe. Look, Isaiah Joe had opportunities at the beginning of the year. And look, in preseason, I was one of those guys that said, yo, watch out for Isaiah Joe. He's going to have a nice season. He's going to be a great piece off the bench. He hasn't really taken the bull by the horns, and that's kind of a bit concerning here. If you listen, this is the NBA. You might have a small window to show what you got, and that's it. And he really, to me, hasn't really shown out the way I thought he would. He's getting some nice opportunities here. We'll see what happens tomorrow night when they face off against the Wizards. If he's going to get some more minutes, can he put up more than 10 points? That's really now the goal. Let's put up more than 10 points. But, I mean, either or, I think you get two guys that are inconsistent. I think they're going to go with Furkan simply because of the experience that he has.
Yeah, and you nailed it right on the head for me because if people in the chat know this, people on Twitter know this, I'm a big Korkmaz fan. Like, I love his intensity. I love how he brings it every night. Sure, everyone misses shots. People keep on going, like, inconsistent and everything. I get that. But it's just like, to me, he can spark plug. He can be a spark plug. Sure, he's cold. He can be a spark plug. I love Korkmaz.
Yeah, I mean, he's also someone that's kind of built within this locker room. He's been here for like 4 or 5 seasons now. So he's a leader. He's a veteran guy in that locker room. And when he's hot, I mean, it's kind of tough to stop him. I mean, especially when you got Tobias, Joel, and Tyrese on the floor. Berkey, some nights are going to get some open shots. It's just about for him knocking down those shots. But again, we got to be consistent, Ferky. We just got to be more consistent with it. That's all.
Yeah. Now, to me, I've been liking Korkmaz more than Danny Green, but he's
Yeah,
coming off the bench. So I love when Danny Green comes off the bench. He
I
was
agree.
getting buckets. So give me your thoughts on Danny Green.
Well, look, for right now, it's just about conserving Danny. Obviously, he's age is starting to catch up with him, and playing in all those finals and all those playoff games will certainly catch up to you. I just want to conserve him because I know a lot of people are like over Danny, because there's nights when he puts up big fat zeros on the stat sheet, but we got to remember his age and the amount of minutes he's logged in. But I think that there's three things that are very key with Danny that really can help us in the playoffs. Number one, the veteran leadership. Number two, the defense, and number three, being able to continue spacing out the court. And I do think that a small part of the reason why we lost the Atlanta Hawks last year in the playoffs was because we were without Danny Green. Having essentially a coach out there on the court is very valuable, especially in those playoff moments when a lot of those guys aren't that experienced in those type of moments. So that's very, very, very key. And we're going to need that again in these playoffs. So to me, let's just get to the finish line. And that's kind of how I feel with this whole entire Sixers game. I just want to get to the finish line, see what we can do in elimination type of situations.
Yeah, I can totally see that. But personal question, have you gone to any games this year?
I did. Actually, I went to the Clippers game.
Oh.
Great one, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Saw the 24-point deficit. I was hanging out with Kata and Scotty Talk Sports. Shout out to them on TikTok. And we're just hanging out, of course we thought like, hey, we got this in the bag. And of course the Clippers just started going off. Luke Kennard starts hitting big shots. Marcus Morris starts hitting big shots. And then little did we know it's like a 10-point lead by the Sixers. And then we're losing and we're trying to come back. And yeah, that was a rough one. But listen, Sixers games are regardless a lot of fun. It's fun to be in there. It's fun to see Joel Embiid in person too. Like, oh, man, it's absolutely great, man.
I actually met him at the place I worked a couple years ago. Like, we have like this award ceremony thing, and we always bring like a Philadelphia athlete or somebody.
That's awesome, man.
So Mark Zumoff hosts it every year. So we had Al Horford, Ellen Brand, and Joel Embiid. So I couldn't get a picture with him one-on-one, but I was able to talk to him for like 5-10 minutes. So when I was looking up and we were talking, it was a good conversation. He leaves, my neck is stuck. Like, I can't move. Can you imagine looking up to 7'3" and I'm 5'6"?
Thanks, Joel. See you later. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. No one took a picture of that, thank God. But it's just like, can you imagine that? Just talking to someone who's that big?
What was the highlight of the conversation?
We were just, talking Sixers, his time at Kansas, stuff like that.
Okay.
Some players, the coaching at that time. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, Philly Sports Talk says,
what's going on, my brother? How you feeling, man?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Another one part of the network. Thank you again for coming on.
Of course, man.
Let's just get right into it. That's the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And you know how we're feeling about Jalen Hurts. I've seen your TikTok about that. You think he should be the quarterback going on next year?
For 2022, I definitely think so. I mean, look, the dude got him into you got some USC in the building. Let's go.
Yeah, because people are using the same account as me.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, man.
So
all good, brother. It's all good. Now listen, I think that Jalen in year one made some strides. Obviously we made the playoffs. He's a Pro Bowl alternate for, you can take that for whatever it's worth. But I just feel like he didn't do anything to not get the job again in 2022. And I hear it like, look, let's go out and get Russell. Let's go out and get Deshaun if he's cleared. Let's go out and get Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that we are just a quarterback away from contending again. Like, I think by even watching the conference championship games, like, I don't know how you watched both of those games and thought to yourself that we're just a quarterback away. Like, no, there was some solid defenses that played in those championship games. There was some solid wide receiving cores in those championship games. And to me, like, no, I'm not just a quarterback away from competing with the Rams or the Niners. I need all three phases of the defense. I need line, I need linebacker, I need secondary. I need another wide receiver to go along with Devontae Smith. I don't know what the hell's going to happen with my running back core. I mean, that's obviously something that's pretty easily fixed. But I do think that this team is better suited investing in building a more complete team. And look, if Jalen's the guy, he's the guy. If not, we'll go out and go get that. But I think that by having Howie, we all know how he is. He is the prototypical businessman GM. He may not be able to scout out talent perfectly. We've seen it in the past. But he knows how to collect assets. He knows how to build teams. He knows how to save money. Besides trading away Carson Wentz and getting that dead cap hit. But
we actually want to trade.
Yeah, right? Ain't that crazy? So keep collecting assets, keep building this team up. And for Jalen, if he's not the answer after 2022, I'll be okay if it's not. But I think he deserves 2022 at least.
Yeah. So for me, I just made a video about this today. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's about Howie Roseman contacting the Houston Texans about Deshaun Watson. Now, this is untradeable. Like Deshaun Watson with the legal cases, all of this going on. I just don't see us actually getting Watson. I see us staying with Hurts. You agree on that?
I do too. I mean, for me personally, listen, Deshaun Watson, we all know how talented he is as a quarterback, but I'm not even thinking about Deshaun as an Eagle until all this gets cleared up. That's just me personally, but I'm sure there's been talks. I'm definitely like this is a business, but I do think that Jeffrey and Howie are kind of in the same stance as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everyone people talk about quarterbacks. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not exactly the best, but he can still develop. What's up, Spotlight? Thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me be on your platform as well. Like, ton of respect to you. So, I'm getting tired of this quarterback talk, and I'm actually one of them talking about, like, if you had a chance to get Russell Wilson, would you do that?
That's a good question. As always, at the right price, I would. I'm a little bit concerned of kind of his, I wouldn't say downfall, but he's declined a little bit over the past couple of years. Is it Seattle? Is it the situation at hand? Is it him? I don't know, but it definitely is concerning. I mean, obviously for me, if we can get Aaron Rodgers, that's the one where I'm like, I'll drop everything and go get Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he would have any interest in coming here to Philadelphia. But Russ, I don't think it's as surefire as people make it seem to be. It is a little bit concerning what's been happening in Seattle. I think for me personally, I would rather wait to see for a better situation. I'm very philosophical when it comes to my sports content. Patience is a virtue. When someone is patient, good things will happen to them. And I think for us Eagles fans, we need to learn that. I know that is very hard for us as a fan base, but I do think in the long run, if we were patient, same thing with Ben Simmons. If we are patient, good things will happen to both of our teams, guys.
Yeah, we're going to bring that guy up at the very end because I know we're going to go off on that.
Sounds good, brother.
So we're going to bring that for the end. But, yeah, the thing with the Eagles fan base is a lot different than Sixers. Like, the Sixers are willing to wait and all this stuff, with number 25 and all Markelle Fultz, all this trade mishap or draft mishaps. With the Eagles, it's got to be instant. And I'm just getting annoyed of it. This season was a huge success in my eyes, thanks to Howie Roseman. You agree on that?
Oh, 110%. I feel like just for obviously, like, look, we made the playoffs. Nick Sirianni turned out to be a solid coach. Hey, what's up, Philly? Man, I love Philly. That's a great dude right there, man.
Yeah, he's one of my guys, yeah.
Yeah, he's
I had him on the show before, yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. But I will say, to me, the reason why this was a success was because I actually felt like Howie did a solid job in a draft. Like, you look at the 2020 NFL draft, right? Devontae Smith already became a solidified number 1 wide receiver. Landon Dickerson, a stud guard, and I think he should stay at the guard position. Milton Williams, I thought he came off really strong at the end of the season. I think he's going to be the starting defensive tackle once it's said and done with Fletcher Cox. And even Kenny Gainwell, I can't wait to see him get some more carries in 2022. But I thought this was the best draft I've seen in Howie Roseman as a GM, man. And I think, to me, that's what really was the most success of this team.
Yeah, I highly agree with that. The draft, he really nailed it on the head. I mean, that was the best thing I've ever seen. And yes, Devontae Smith, that was just a beautiful pick. We have a number 1 wide receiver for years to come, like a decade. We got a solidified number 1 wide receiver. It is great. I just want to talk about the running backs. because we have the best running back core in the league. So when you trade Miles Sanders, if something came up in like a return, maybe for like a linebacker or something, would you trade Miles Sanders?
I would. I'm not sure if we're able to this year. Is his contract up? I thought
He's got one more year.
He's got one more year. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was this year or next year, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely trade Miles Sanders. For me, I'm one of these guys where I don't really value running backs and wide receivers that highly. Like for me, I wouldn't. Oh, like a Michael Thomas type of deal. I would never do that. I don't agree with that simply because of what I've seen over the past couple of years. Now, if you got yourself like Tyreek Hill, who is he is essential to the core of what the Chiefs are doing, then possibly I would definitely pay him. But like giving these ridiculous contracts to wide receivers, I'm not for. And so for me, when it comes to the running back position, as long as I have a really good offensive line and a good quarterback, I really can find a comparable running back, multiple running backs. I like the running back by committee operation as well. And that's why I think that I'm okay with the revolving door of running backs. Heck, Mike Shanahan made a career out of that. He had running back after running back year after year. That man went to 2 Super Bowls. So I definitely do think that Miles Sanders is definitely is tradable for this team.
Yeah. For me with Miles Sanders, he is injury prone. And he's been injured twice this year. 2 big injuries. And to me, when you're not available, that hurts. I mean, availability is the best for this team. And I honestly feel like Kenneth Gainwell is going to take his spot. I really feel like that. You agree with that, Kenneth Gainwell?
I'm 100% okay with that. Really curious what this running back core will look like next year. I don't think we bring back Jordan Howard. Obviously, you still have Ball Scott. I think he's unrestricted, if I saw that correctly.
I think he's restricted. I'll look it up right now just to be safe.
But I mean, regardless, bring back Boston. Boston's a cheap option to kind of bring back. And he's a good locker room dude as well, more importantly. But yeah, I would like them to bring another power back in here. Maybe someone younger who's got more fresh legs.
He is restricted.
He's restricted. Okay. So I would try to find a power back in the later rounds. I think a power back is still a dangerous weapon in this league. I mean, QB sneak's a great option on short yardage back. Well, why not just give it to a power back? Someone that's like in the 240 range, and just get yourselves that 2 harder and extra yards. So that's why. I mean, dude, in the heart of this season, right when we were going on that little winning streak, dude, Jordan Howard was getting like 10 yards a pop, and it was great, and that really set the tone for the offense, and everything kind of flowed through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What key players does the Eagles have to go all the way to make it to the Super Bowl? Well, if it's like Madden Ultimate Team, give me Aaron Rodgers. Give me who's the best running back right now? Derrick Henry, Jonathan Miller. Just give me all the best. But realistically, if they get like a really good linebacker, like we don't have like a solidified linebacker, a cornerback, Steven Nelson might be gone, or I don't know. There's just a lot of holes that need to be fixing. So
to me, it's simple. Linebacker. It's that simple. That's it. Just give me a Devin White, give me a Levante David, give me some of those type of dudes. I just think that the more I watch NFL football and the NFL playoffs, like it's such an important position for Howie to kind of downgrade the way he does. Like it really sets the tone. I mean, even watch the Super Bowl and the way those guys cover so much field, they cover their own run block. Like it's so important. And I thought that TJ Edwards was such a great story this year for him to kind of emerge in the middle of the season to become essentially our Mike linebacker, number 1 guy. It's great, but I do think we can upgrade from TJ Edwards. So for me, give me a stud linebacker, man. Just give me that guy.
Yeah. Crazy question. Could you use Jordan Mailata as a fullback? Honestly, we don't even use a fullback.
Yeah, right. We really don't, man. And I saw, what was it? Trent Williams in the Packers game, right? Everyone was like, Jordan Mailata better, or Nick Sirianni better use Jordan Mailata as a fullback 8 times a game, or I'm going to riot. Like, listen, yeah, it's great to kind of throw the team off, but I mean, I do feel like if you're a defense, you're opposing defense, you see Jordan Mailata, if you've done your scouting reports, you know the athleticism that Jordan Mailata has, you kind of know what's going to happen, and you kind of can, prelude yourself to what's about to happen. But give it a shot. I'm not saying let's not do it, but I don't think this needs to be like an every game regular part of the game plan.
No, I don't think so. Like, I think that's really, unless you treat him like a Jerome Bettis type or something like that, I just don't see it. It's kind of like the Lane Johnson touchdown, who got snubbed from the All-Star game or Pro Bowl. That makes no sense to me at all.
I agree.
But use Jordan Miles. If it's like a really big situation, like really important, you got to use it. Boom.
Yeah, but that play worked because no one anticipated Lane to go out for a pass, and that's why.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, to me, it's just like, I would not see it because it's actually a risk. I know he played rugby. I watched his highlights. It's a bigger risk of getting injured.
Exactly.
To me, you can't really do that.
He's playing like a top 10 tackle in the league. Why would you want to take him away from that?
I wouldn't. Like, I really wouldn't. So, I got to bring this up, and that's Jalen Reagor. I mean, I'm getting a real headache about this guy. Like, give me your opinion on Jalen Reagor.
I'm there with you, Mitch. Honestly, it is so frustrating watching Jalen kind of implode in the playoff game. I mean, the punt returns were atrocious. I mean, I guess I'll ask you this too, Mitch. Like, we see the struggles on the punt returns for Jalen, not once, not twice, but 3 times in one playoff game. We have Greg Ward, who, listen, he's no what was his name? He's no Devin Hester. He's no Devin Hester, right? But at least you know he can field the punt. He won't let you lose yards on a punt return. Why wouldn't you at least go with Greg Ward? Right? Like,
you're telling me.
Like, at least someone's a little bit more reliable. But I get it. Everyone wants Jalen Reagor out off this team. And I'll be honest, I think that the best thing for his career is probably getting out of Philadelphia. I think this is a situation that's too far gone. But I don't think he's leaving unless it's a trade, because if you do cut him, it's probably like around an $8 million cap hit that you probably have to take on. That wouldn't make sense just because you kind of gave up on a prospect. So I think he's going to be back here. I don't want him as a returner anymore. I'd rather anyone I'd rather see Jalen Hurts return a punt. Let's put it that way. I'm just kidding, guys. But that's kind of my point there. And I honestly, as a human being, I really do feel for him. I really wonder what is going on in his head. I don't know if the NFL, for some people, the NFL is just too much, and that could be the case for him as well. I mean, he's had this pressure. He was picked at a spot where he should have been picked. Justin Jefferson, the pick after, turns out to be the best wide receiver in that draft class, and he's got to live with everyone calling him the guy that the Eagles picked over Justin Jefferson. So it is definitely tough, but for both sides, it's best off that they go their separate ways, in my opinion. But it's going to take some time for that. Yeah.
So I had a show on Saturday morning called MK in the Morning, and I had a Falcons fan in the chat here, and he was like, "We'll give you Calvin Ridley for a Reagor in a second." I'm like, done.
Say less.
Say less. But I want Calvin Ridley on this team. But again, it's with his mental state and all of that. Would you want Calvin Ridley, or would you want to go to free agency and get like an Allen Robinson or wide receiver like that?
Yeah, so I've actually been thinking this up in my head, and I'll put out some content about these receivers as well. But I've done like a tier list of what I do want. And I think for me, Calvin Ridley would be probably like 3rd or 4th in my tier of wide receivers that I want to get. For right now, my top option, I want Chris Godwin, 110%.
Yeah.
I'm curious what's going to happen in Tampa. Obviously, Tom retiring kind of changes everything for them. And are they going to really pay Chris Godwin when they don't even have a team essentially right now? And obviously, like, look, he's a Philly boy, come back home, right? He's a veteran wide receiver, won a Super Bowl, and what better to pair Devontae Smith with than another guy who's hungry, who's won his chip, wants another one, and I think that would be a great opportunity. I really love DJ Shark Jr. from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I think that is a guy who you can get cheaper, who's got so much upside, has got so much to prove after what's been going on in Jacksonville, and I think he's hungry. And that's the type of mentality that we need in this locker room. Number 3 would be Allen Robinson. Just price would worry me a little bit, but obviously the talent is there. And then I would probably go Calvin Ridley after that, just because of the trade. Atlanta's probably going to want something, and I probably don't want to give up assets for Calvin Ridley. I do understand the talent. I do like him teaming back up with Donte and with Jalen Hurts as well. But to me, there's 3 other guys that I would prefer over Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, and Devontae Adams. Would you want Devontae Adams to come here?
Obviously, yeah. I just don't think it would happen. Realistically,
I don't think so either.
Price-wise, and I think he's going to go where Aaron goes, to be honest with you. If Aaron goes to, like, let's say Denver, I think he's off to Denver.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Godwin, but what concerns me is his injury history, which is like that's a concern for every football player. Like, for everybody. You can't even do that.
Yeah. They definitely would look into it, and if they feel as if that it's something manageable and they can work with it, then you give a flyer on it for sure.
Yeah. So our tight end is Dallas Goedert, top 5 tight end in the league.
Yes, sir.
But our secondary tight end, I'm not exactly comfortable with. I mean, they are good. I'll keep them. Stahl and Richard Rodgers, all those guys. Would you want to go out in free agency and get like an O.J. Howard or Eric Ebron or something like that?
No, honestly, no. Because I have Dallas Goedert. If we're talking about finding a second tight end, maybe someone on the second tier of the free agency list of the tight ends, I'd have to look at the whole entire list. But if not drafting one, they have a lot of high hopes for Tyree Jackson, who hasn't been able to stay healthy, which is a bummer. He's got the athleticism, he's got that raw talent, but I mean, like you just said, the best ability is reliability, and he's just not reliable right now with those injuries. Jack Stoll's great story. I love his mentality. I actually listened to his interview with Dave Spadaro. I love the way he kind of handles himself, but he just it feels like he's in the wrong era of football where you got to be, you have to be more of a pass catcher. He's more of that blocking type of dude, that grit and grind type of dude as well. And of course, Richard Rodgers is a veteran guy. I mean, he's not really part of the future. So I think for me, I'd rather look into the draft for a backup tight end for Dallas Goedert. But that's definitely important. You're 100% right. It's definitely important. You never know what could happen to Dallas Goedert, and it's important to have those tight ends, man.
Yeah. And do you think Goedert is worth that contract extension? Because once he got it, he was like he didn't really do much. And then once it came like close to the end of the season, he was starting to pick it up. So do you think that Goddard's contract is worth that much?
And that's a good question. I'll be honest. I'm not entirely too sure, because to me, like, obviously we see the good stuff, right? We see the athletic ability. He knows how to go up and get the ball. And there's some games where he looks like Zach Ertz in his prime, right? But the drops are a problem. I mean, he had way too many in the playoff game, and that's got to get fixed, man. That really does have to get fixed. There are times where he does get lost in the rhythm as well, the offense. So he definitely has some stuff to work on. He definitely deserved the contract extension. I will say that. But yeah, he's got to prove he's worth every penny that the Eagles got him. And this year that's coming up, man, go show that you are a top 5 tight end, not just in week 1, but week 1 through week 17, man. You got to do that. Or week 18 now. Now we're 18 weeks.
Yeah. Goddard's inconsistent. I mean, isn't that like the whole thing, Philadelphia teams, pretty much? Everyone in Philadelphia.
Pretty much, man. We got to get some more consistency around here.
Yeah. Who's winning the Super Bowl? For me, I got the Bengals. I really like the Bengals' chances in this game.
I wish it was the Bengals. I think it's the Rams' time. And it sucks because now we're going to see this whole super team stuff that we saw in the NBA come into the NFL. And I really don't like that. I really don't. But I think I think the Rams. And plus, it's in LA. Like, it's in SoFi. It's going to be another home game, just like the Bucks last year. I think the Rams are going to get this, man. I'm going to hate it.
Like, to me, Matt, oh, my God. The Rams are playing like Ultimate Team. It's just like Ultimate Team, like I said. And to me, it's so annoying. Like, I can't stand this. I really want them to fail. And then,
Mitch, let me ask you, would you, because look, the Rams, they may win a Super Bowl this year, but when it's done, like Stafford's gone, Odell, when they're all gone, they're screwed. They're going to be really bad. They got rid of all their assets. Would you sign up for that as a Birds fan?
Would I sign up for what?
being able
Exactly.
to win the Super Bowl, but then being bad for like 5, maybe a whole decade, 5 years to a decade. Because I think that's what's going to happen with the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I think Adams is going to the Raiders is because his Fresno State ties with Derek Carr.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's facts. But for me, I just want another ring, but I don't want my team to be like damaged for years on. So I can see that. Like, to me, I don't want to give up our entire future for everything. I don't want to see that. I wanted to see this team actually build up, get better, and who knows? Maybe we'll make the Super Bowl next year or the year after, as long as we got our core together and everything's right. So to me, I will not do all that.
I agree, man. The Bucs are about to find that out the hard way in these next couple of years.
Yeah. Problem is the Rams D-line against the Bengals O-line, but I want the Bengals to win. So do I. Why did you – oh, my God. Also, did you see the tickets price for the Super Bowl?
They're usually ridiculous. What's the cheapest ticket? Like 5,000?
I saw it 6.
That's crazy.
I would not.
I wonder if my buddy, the Philly sports guy, will be there. He usually goes to all those events, man. It's like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
plus the
I'm trying to get the flight too. Oh my God. Yo, I'm actually trying to get him on his chat here, but it's like so hard to contact him.
Man moves like I don't even know these days. He's at a different sporting event every single night, man. It is crazy. We actually did a show for a year on Monday nights, and it just got too busy with both our schedules. But man, he's just definitely keep getting in contact with him. I'll definitely shoot one out too, man. But he's definitely a good one to have on.
Oh yeah, the most expensive is $40K.
Do I want a new car or do I want the Super Bowl tickets? Let me see.
Well, it depends on who's going to the Super Bowl and all that. Did you go to the Super Bowl when the Eagles were in it?
I did not. During the Super Bowl when we won was a weird time. I was going through like changes in my personal life. And then the Eagles started going on this run, and I'm just like, wait, what? We're in the NFC Championship game without Carson Wentz, and then we win, and I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. And then I'm like, we're not winning the Super Bowl, and then we wind up winning. But I was here in the area. I was in South Jersey, Philadelphia. I was there in the parade. That's for sure. I was not missing that. But
wait, you're in South Jersey?
I do. I actually moved back to South Jersey. I lived in Philly.
I'm in South Jersey, actually.
There you go, man. There's a lot of us out here, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you off stream. But yeah, it's crazy. Now, we got to talk about Jonathan Gannon here because he's not getting interviews for head coaches. So to me, it looks like we're going to keep with him for another year. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. He kind of grew on me as the season went on. Now, my narrative was this defense obviously improved in the second half of the season, right? But we also played a bunch of nobody quarterbacks. But then in the playoffs, made adjustments. That D-line really got after Tom Brady without Josh Sweat. So I want to see him for another year with some better talent. I know he didn't have the best talent, but I thought that he really didn't put his guys in the best spot. Like playing this very passive, soft-ass defense, like that's not going to get the job done. And I get you don't have the talent, but you still have to be a little bit more aggressive. So I hope that Howie gets him the pieces that he needs, especially through the draft. I want to see him develop some guys because, look, the one thing I did hear when he was coming out of Minnesota and Indianapolis coming to Philadelphia was he did a great job development. He really saved a lot of people's careers. I think Xavier Rhodes is the best example of that. So if he's able to get his guys, his young players that he wants and develops them, I want to see what they could do. He actually was doing a good job with Davion Taylor. I mean, it's unfortunate he went through those injuries, but he was actually kind of starting to show like he could play in this league. So I want to see him with his players in year 2 here as a DC.
Yeah, I mean, to me, his play calling is a bit bad. I mean, he was in a cover 4 on a 3-yard line, and he barely blitzed. That's the one thing that bothers me the most was him not blitzing. I mean, how did you feel about that, not blitzing?
So, look, Mitch, I don't know how old you are, but I'm
actually 27.
27. There we go, baby. 94. Let's go.
Hey.
There you go, man. But so like for us, Mitch, right? So I don't know when you started watching football, but I started around 03. I grew up with Jimmy Johnson, right? So we all know how Jim loved to run his defense. It was a lot of blitzing. It was that aggressive style of football. So that's what we were used to. We got Billy Davis. We don't need to talk about that. We went on to Jim Shorts, and Jim did not like blitzing, and that drove us up a wall. I think blitzing is important, especially like, look, you got a young quarterback who you know is going to get rattled. Just throw that blitz, man. Just throw that freaking blitz. You have to know when to use it. I don't think it needs to be like an every down type of thing, but it has to be situational, right? When you're trying to make a play, it's like you're down 24-14. You need to stop here. Set the tone in the late in the first quarter. Send that blitz. You have to know when to use it. And Jonathan Gannon struggled with that at times this past season, but hey, he did improve. And we'll see if he can improve upon that again in year 2.
Yeah. What were your thoughts about him having Fletcher Cox cover the screens?
I thought Fletcher put it perfectly in the press conference. I'm not paid to cover these damn screens. That was great, but not. Come on, what are you doing, dude? Like, this is an Eagle great right now, and you're gonna make him do something that he's never done in his career. Like, come on, that was just absolutely atrocious, man.
You're telling me, like, people are telling me, like, would you do that if you were Fletcher Cox? Like, I know it's like they're paying you to do this and do that. For me, I would, because I'm one of the best Eagles players of all time. I would have respect if I did it, and it gets my voice to be heard. So I would definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's a good point. That's definitely a good point, man.
Yeah.
For you without, I do agree with Bobby saying, and the D-line did make a lot of money this past year between Hargrave, Cox, and Sweat. They do need to get after the quarterback, and they did struggle at times with that this season. But yeah, the blitzing situation, to me, that's situational. That's all it is.
Yeah, definitely. And give me your thoughts about Derek Barnett.
He better not come back. I'm good. I'm good. It's weird too, because that rookie year obviously was the Super Bowl year, right? But he looked like he was going in the right direction. I just think he just doesn't think out there sometimes, right? Like, he's obviously really aggressive. He's a physical beast, but at times, like, this game, I know it's very physical, but you have to use your mind. You need to have those smarts and those intelligence out on the field. I just felt like Derek Barnett just kind of lacks that. And we can find another Derek Barnett. Like, those type of are easy to find. Bring back Bernard Avery, put him back at a defensive end. I'd rather see that than Derek Barnett. I mean, Avery could be a knucklehead as well, but again, you can find those guys anywhere. I think they need to address that pass rush in the draft. I mean, you look at these final 2 teams, the final 4 teams that played on Sunday. Good pass rush is still really important in this league, and we got to get back to that, because when we won the Super Bowl, that was a pretty good pass rush that we had.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, with Brandon Graham being injured, that was the biggest blow that could ever happen to us. I know that's like the main focus on our defense is Brandon Graham, but it's like we have all these other players to step up. Not a lot of them did during the season. So for me, it's just like Brandon Graham was the heart and soul of that defense.
That was a big blow, man. I did like see you saw him on the sideline. His presence still was felt. I'm curious what he's going to do next year. Obviously, coming back off of the that injury, what is he going to look like? What is he going to actually give to his team? I think it'd be best suited to find or to actually put him in as a backup and being a rotational piece. I don't want him I don't want to see him getting the same type of snaps that he had, before the injury happened. So I think best suited is for him to come out on as a rotational piece and find some young kids in here that are hungry and get after the quarterback. I'm curious with Taron Jackson as well. I really thought he was gonna, come off this beat, but come some time, and I'm curious to see how he develops in the year 2.
Yeah, so am I. Now with the draft coming up, is there anyone you're keeping an eye on? Like, would you trade up for Hutchinson, or is there like another linebacker or something you're keeping an eye on?
I haven't gotten to the draft process yet. I was still waiting for the season to kind of end, but I mean, obviously, I got my eye on Hutchinson. I think he will be picked in the top 10 if I'm being honest. Obviously, Sauce Gardner, someone that everyone keeps throwing at me. I do see it. I obviously defense is really where my mind's at right now. I honestly don't see us picking 3 defensive players. I could see Howie going somewhere else, especially offensively with one of those picks. But for right now, I'm looking at defensive ends. I'm looking at linebackers, and I'm looking at corners. That's really where I'm looking at right now, man.
For me, I want
Kobe
the
Dean.
Kobe Dean. I mean, I need to do research on him personally,
Yeah.
so I don't know much about him.
Yeah, man. I mean, we talked about it before with my Philly sports schedule, man. Once the season's over, that's when I'll start doing my draft digging. But for right now, man, we got Sixers underway. We got the Flyers finally won a game, so we're back in.
You know what? Let's just talk about that win. What was like for me? I was so nervous. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, there's no freaking way we're gonna actually pull out this dub, and we did.
I'm glad you watched, though. I'm really glad you watched, Mitch. Mitch, honestly, it's tough. Obviously, besides the losing, we obviously know that definitely sucks. But to me, like the disconnect of the front office, the franchise has with the fan base kind of hurts a little bit more, because it's one thing to lose, but it's another thing where you just it feels like you just don't give a crap about us. That hurts as well. But I mean, on the ice, look, this team has dealt with so many injuries. They really thought that Ryan Ellis was going to be a key part of this team. He's played 5 games at most with this team as well. It's just a lot of things that's kind of gone wrong. And this front office, if you've heard that Chuck Fletcher presser last Wednesday, this team is delusional to think that they are just a couple pieces away from competing. Like, no, I mean, this core has had countless of opportunities to kind of prove what they had. And we're still in the same spot. Like, we're at best a borderline playoff team right now. Obviously we're not, but that was a good win. It felt good. Snow day. We actually had a good amount of fans in there. Despite the snow day, they closed off the top level. They allowed everyone to sit in the lower bowl, which made the stadium look a little bit more fuller. The black jerseys, I actually am a fan of those black jerseys. And although it felt like it was going to be the same old Flyers loss, they allowed the Kings to come back. We had to go into overtime. Scotty Lotz saved the day. And it was a good feeling, man. It was a good feeling to kind of get that win. Finally.
I was just amazed. I wish I recorded my reaction there. Like, I really wish I did. But was it a good choice for us to trade Wojciech at that time? Because I feel like we're definitely missing him.
I do think that was the right move. I like Cam Atkinson. That's kind of what we did need. Someone who's willing to shoot first. Listen, we love Jakey. We'll always love Jakey, but Jakey was another guy that could create for others. And I felt like we needed someone who was willing to just have that snipe, man. And Cam Atkinson has the ability to do that. He hasn't been able to do it consistency, but when you have the dysfunction the Flyers have had, it is kind of a mess. But I definitely would have done that trade. The Rasmus trade, I do like Rasmus as a player, but that haul that we gave him was a little bit too much to give to Buffalo. I thought that was a little bit of a rough deal for us. And obviously, look, if you would have asked me again to do the Ryan Ellis trade, I probably would have done it again, because we needed that top pairing deep defenseman to match up with Ivan Provorov. And that, to me, it just sucks. That situation definitely sucks. But I definitely would have done the Cam Atkinson trade again.
Yeah, Cam Atkinson is an underrated pickup. I agree on that 1,000%. I mean, I have not been watching a lot of Flyers team this year.
I don't blame you, man.
Like, I was like a huge Flyers fan when I was in college and everything. You know, I was like watching every game and everything. And then the Sixers started, like, you know, that whole thing with Embiid and everything started to pick up. I kind of lost track. So I kind of want to get back into Flyers and hopefully make content on that again. Like, I miss it.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, I don't listen. A lot of people don't realize is the only reason why I got into Philly sports content creation. I love Philly sports, like, that's obvious. But back when I started getting back into YouTube in 2019, I started getting into with the Philadelphia Union. I saw the fan base. The fan base spoke to me, and I knew what they wanted. So I wanted to do that. Once that first offseason hit for the Philadelphia Union, I'm like, what the hell do I do now? Like, there's not much to talk about. Like, it's not like the Eagles where you're like looking at prospects and this and that. Like, it doesn't work like that. So I thought to myself, I know how the city works. This city is Eagles, 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 Eagles. And if the Sixers are winning, we're in on them. If the Phillies are winning, we're in on them. If the Flyers are winning, we're in on them. So to me, I wanted to get into all of it. I wanted to prove that this city could be a 5-sport city, and that's why I do it every single night. But now I'm emotionally invested. I'm financially invested in these teams as well. And I know the Flyers suck right now, but we have to remember this is the life of Philly sports fans. We have good days, we have bad days, and we have god ugly days, right? So we have to stick through them, through the good and through the bad and through the ugly. And we're gonna get through some good days. I really do believe it. And I hope that we can all celebrate that together, man. And I'll be here. I'll be here, man. Hey, let's go, Wings, man. I love the Wings. Don't get me wrong. I love the Wings, man. Great.
I miss the Philadelphia Soul.
Yeah, man. The last year they were alive, Ron Jaworski came out with his star wide receiver. I forget who it was. They came out to a Union game. They were hanging out at the tailgates and when I was chopping up with Ron Jaworski, and then they folded. And it's tough, man. It's tough with the AFL. I don't know how if they all ever, I think they're back actually, like on a lower type of the Soul aren't back. But yeah, it's gonna be tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was at the one game. And I still never forget it. It's like one of those games you just have to remember.
But those I won't say obscure, but those less watched sports. So like obviously in this area, MLS, I won't say European soccer, but MLS, the NLL with the National Lacrosse League, arena football. Like those are really fun events to go to, but we're just not getting enough eyes on those sports. And that I don't know. I don't know how lacrosse will be able to do it. I know that soccer is like a big deal around the world, but how do you sell lacrosse to this country? Like I professionally at least, I just don't know how that'll ever work.
I don't know either. And honestly, I'm not big on soccer. Like
I don't blame you, Mitch. I don't blame you.
Like my dad, he's a huge soccer guy. Like he watches everything. So I always talk about soccer with him. I don't mind talking. I can't watch it.
Okay.
Like I just really can't watch it. I don't know what it is.
For
like
me,
to me, I'm like playing foosball and watching it. Like, I can't do that.
For me, Mitch, it was honestly I was kind of forced into it. Growing up, I always grew up in this area, whether it was Philly or South Jersey. And obviously, like you know, like it's Eagles. We got an LAFC fan in the chat. All right, that's cool. But a part of me was what made me different from others was every summer I was going to Colombia. I'm Colombian. So I would go to Colombia, visit my family, kind of hang out there. I had my grandma, my cousins were teaching me about soccer, and I started falling in love with it. But then when I would come back home to start school, I would forget about it because the Eagles were all the next week, and I'm like, soccer, who? Goodbye.
Exactly.
Let's go Birds. Let's go Birds.
Freaking exactly.
And as I got older, I found the love for it again, and just kind of like interacting with Union fans really what brought it out for me. Like they are amazing human beings, and I kind of wanted to represent for them, and it just kind of made sense to me. That's why I dedicate so much time to that team. But it's tough. It is really tough, and I don't know what it is because like if you ask the majority of people our age in every country outside of this country, they love sport. Like they die for the sport, kind of the way we die for the NFL here. But yeah, I don't know what the reason is. I respect it if you don't, if you like it or if you don't, you know, either or. But it definitely is interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, my dad watches like the European League and all that stuff. Like his favorite player is Mohamed Salah, so it's just like he loves those kinds of games. He watched the Euro World Cup qualifier. Like, okay, he keeps up with that stuff. I don't. It's just like
so. I actually, for the most part, I watch So Colombia's my national soccer team,
right?
So I keep an eye on them every game. So today they're actually playing right now. I just looked it up. They're tied against Argentina on their World Cup qualifier. But the qualifier games are really interesting. European soccer is good as well. The Champions League to me is the best soccer game. If you have nothing to do, like on a Thursday afternoon, just pop one on for a couple minutes. It's in high intensity. The fans are crazy. We're talking players in the stands. They're singing for 90 minutes. Like it's nothing like here. You know what, Mitch? It's funny that you say that. One thing I can't stand in American sports, I hate that we sit down. Dude, I hate sitting down for sporting because when I'm at home, even if it's for baseball, if it's for the Phillies, I'm standing up because I'm in tune with the pitcher, you know, and the batter. Like I'm in tune with that there, and I hate sitting down. But that's my only my only issue with
I can
American
agree to that. Like, I can see that from time to time. And hell, I went to WWE events years ago. So it's like the same exact thing. And I'm
Do they
done with
stand for those?
WWE now.
Do they stand for those? I've never been to a live event.
They stand. They stand
Okay.
when they come out, like during the match. Some of them stand and like all that stuff. So there is standing in the crowd. There is. But we got to talk about him now, and that's Ben Simmons. Let's just talk
Sure.
about him now because honestly, did you hear what's going on today? Like
With Ramona,
huh?
with the Ramona Shelburne report.
Oh yeah. So give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's kind of like what we've been hearing before. I mean, what was it earlier in the summer or late in the summer? He was saying that his play style doesn't fit with Joel Embiid, or they were trying to build around Joel Embiid when the Sixers literally were trying to put shooters around Ben Simmons throughout the time. Look, if this is true, which if it's from Ramona, I think it's very reliable source. If this is true, again, it just goes back to what we know about Ben. Ben has no accountability of what's going on. Shaq obliterated him on national TV, but it's true. I mean, we're adults. I'm sure people criticize you and I for what we do as content creators, but we can't just allow that to stop us. No, we take that. We go harder on those next game recaps or whatever content podcast episode that we do. And that's just how life is. It goes for anything in life. And it just kind of feels like Ben is just like a spoiled brat who's never had to go through adversity in his life. And look, this situation is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in sports. Like, this is weirder than T.O. back in 04 or 05. Like, this is absolutely bonkers what we see. Guy doesn't want to play because he's butthurt. He lost what, $10 million because he was butthurt? That makes no sense whatsoever. But look, I want these reports to kind of go away. I want the Shaqs kind of stop talking because at this point, we just need to get him out of Philadelphia. And this definitely does hurt our chances with that, man.
I actually made a video about Shaq and what he said and how I was agreeing with him. And I said, I want more people calling this guy out. I want more of them calling Ben Simmons out because more people need to know about it. I know it's been like this for like a year or whatever, however long it was. But it's just like, why does he keep on doing this, Ben Simmons, and he doesn't even care about the money? Like, BS, you care about the money. $10 million? Like, really?
Especially the way he spends money.
Oh, my God, yeah. So, hell yeah, Champions League. What's your favorite European team, like, from any league?
SC, so I'll say this. I'm a Philadelphia Union fan through and through. That is my team regardless. I don't have, per se, like a team in Europe, but if I were to root for a team, I've always rooted for Napoli in Italy. I have a fond appreciation for them. They have always supported Colombians. So I'd definitely go with Napoli. But for me, if I have like Saturday mornings, I'm not a big college football guy. I used to be when I was growing up, but so it's always funny when I'm down the shore. My girl's parents live down the shore. And my girlfriend's brother is big on football and basketball, kind of like you, Mitch. He's a big Eagles and Sixers guy. So Saturday mornings, we're always fighting because he wants to watch College Game Day, and I want to watch the Premier League because it's freaking great soccer. And we always have those battles. But Champions League is some really good entertainment, man.
Oh, yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I can watch, like, when it comes to penalty kicks, I can watch that, like, towards the very end, shootouts and all that. I can watch that, but during the game, count me out. Like,
see, Mitch, the thing is that when I growing up loving football, I used to love like dissecting plays, playbooks, all that stuff. I used to eat it up. So when I learned how to actually watch soccer, I learned about tactics, and it's like chess. Really, it's really like chess. And that's why, like, I love what's going on in the field. I think the problem is in America, we are always looking where the ball is, right? When it's football, we're looking where the football is, or basketball, or hockey, or baseball. But in soccer, if you are just watching the ball, you're really doing yourself a disservice because there's so much going on around the ball, and that's what the players are looking at. And that's how I kind of like fell in love with the game again, because I actually learned how to watch it. But it's kind of like that with football. I mean, football, when you're looking at plays, you're breaking down plays, you're seeing what the coverage is, what wide receiver X did, what your offensive tackles doing, was there pooling and all that good stuff. In soccer, it's kind of the same thing. What was the forward running to the center of the pitch, or what was it right to pass the ball back and such like that. So I love all that type of stuff, man. I geek out all over that type of stuff, man.
Yeah. My European soccer team is Manchester United. I mean,
I do.
Yeah.
It's a big one, man.
But to go back to this Ben Simmons talk,
Yes, sir.
just like, I can't stand this guy. Like, I still have his shirt, so whenever he gets traded, I'll make that video of me throwing it out or whatever I want to do with that shirt. So it's just crumbled away my thing. But he's disrespecting the game of basketball by what he's doing. People were calling this back at LSU. And do you remember that summer league he had? Like, that was the best basketball he's ever played.
Yes,
but
sir.
people, he was saying that he didn't even want to play the summer league, that he wasn't even going to play it at all.
Wow, I didn't hear that one. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I just found out like a week ago or something. But he was just like, so it started since then, and the Sixers still drafted him and all this stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird because I mean, I'll be honest. If we're going back to that draft, I probably still would have selected Ben over Brandon Ingram. It's because of the potential, and that's why there's still value with Ben, because you see potential with him. It's really a lot of mental that's going on with Ben Simmons. But it is very interesting to see, and throughout this whole process, like, I'm thinking about those LSU days as well. And I actually watched the SEC tournament game, LSU versus Texas A&M, when A&M eliminated them. And I'm like thinking back to myself, wow, like, the way he did handle himself on the sideline wasn't the best. It's not what that's not what number one prospects do in a game that you're getting eliminated. You probably should be pissed. You probably should have done everything you possibly can to not let your team get eliminated. And everything is definitely adding up. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with Ben Simmons' career, but I'll tell you what, if it's here or if it's somewhere else, he has to change this mentality he has, because another locker room is going to eat him up again, and then he's going to run through the same issues again, and he's going to let this potential of what could have been a top 5 player in this league go to waste because of what? Because you don't want to handle the real world? This is life, man. We all got to deal with this. You're not special.
I mean, just him shooting the basketball. I've mentioned this plenty of times. When you go to a basketball court, like, I don't care if it's at your neighbor's school, whatever, and you get a ball, what's the first thing you're doing?
You're shooting, man. I'm definitely shooting.
I
was acting like Dirk Nowitzki back then, man, for sure.
Oh, my God. That's my second favorite player of all time. Like,
yeah, man, that leg, dude, I was working on that all damn night, man. That was my move. But Mitch, I wouldn't even go there. Like, all I was asking Mitch was him to be aggressive and drive to the basket, knock down those free throws. That's literally all I was asking at that point. Like, I wasn't asking for you to be Steph Curry anymore. I was just asking you to just be Ben Simmons, use your body, use your athleticism, use your speed, drive to the paint. You get fouled, go to the free throw lines, hit those easy bunnies, and let's keep going. Like, he didn't want to do that. It's just ridiculous.
It is. And remember, I'm going to go back to game 5. We were up by like 30. I tweeted out, how's Ben Simmons doing? And people were just like, Mitch, we're up by 30. We're up by 30. We're going to win this game. It doesn't matter. We lost the game. And I'm like, who's looking like an idiot now? Like, I freaking called that. Like, whenever Ben Simmons is not doing anything, we're going to lose. It's 4-5. So for me, it's just like, what is he doing? And especially that mishap with not dunking.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. And that game really, Lou Wilk really had to do us like that, man. That we showed Lou so much love when he was in Philly, and he had to really do us like that. Nah, that's why he got the criticism that he did, because in those type of situations, you're bleeding. You're literally bleeding out, and your second star player was nowhere to be found.
Right. I'm the same age as number 25, and I feel like he used the mental health as an excuse. Yep, that's been awesome interview, man. Great stuff. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Earl.
Very appreciate that, Earl. Thank you. But I want to go to this mental aspect. Like, you can't use that as an excuse. People are going through this every single day that are going through mental problems, and he's using this as an excuse.
Yeah, Mitch. For me personally, mental health is very, very, very important to me. It's a topic that needs to be discussed more. And onto the point. I mean, we just saw Brandon Brooks retire, and I thought he was a big pioneer into mental health awareness. When you got like this big, 300-pound lineman who's telling you like, "Yeah, I'm going through anxiety," that really hits close to home, man. I mean, for me personally, my mom, growing up, I've lived with her through her depressions. I know what it is like. I saw it firsthand. So for Ben to go around, and this was all around the same time where Lane Johnson came out as well,
Yep.
and for Ben to go around and use this card, like that just shows the type of person he is. He literally does not care. He will do whatever it takes to get what he wants. He is the definition of a spoiled brat, man. And to me, he lost all the respect using that card, brother.
Yeah. Fred VanVleet for Ben Simmons. Dude, we were talking about James Harden, and now we're talking about Fred VanVleet. Like, I mean, James Harden is still there, but now we're talking about Fred VanVleet. It's just like, I don't understand this. Would you accept it?
Hell yeah, I would. They're not giving up Fred. That's like the cornerstone for their franchise now.
Yeah. Would you accept the King trade? The Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah. I would have because I still had the assets to go out and make the move at the all season if this didn't work. But listen, I wasn't going all giddy like the rest of us were when Halliburton dropped 38 on us on Saturday. Excuse me. But dude, we need that length. Like what we're missing right now, obviously Ben's length on the perimeter. We need that. And Tyrese could have brought that. He's still got a lot of developing to do. And I think he's a pretty damn good player. Then you bring on Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield for some extra spacing. I would have done that deal plus the 2 first-round picks. Now, obviously, this is all reports, but I thought that to me was the best deal I saw out of any proposals from any teams.
I mean, what about the Malcolm Brogdon in the first? Because I felt that was good too.
So at the time, I wasn't for it, but now the way the situation kind of went about, I probably would have done it now. Because I would love to do a swap because I do think this team has some depth, but I just feel like they're just missing that piece on the starting lineup. So now I probably would have done it, but back then I was not for it for sure.
Yeah, I was definitely I was shocked that he even got that trade offer. I'm like, that's pretty damn good, Brogdon. And I know he took the first rookie of the year away from Sarge and Embiid. I get all that, but dude, he's consistent. He can shoot. He can put up 15 and 8 a night. Like, I freaking love Brogdon.
I just curious what Daryl is doing because it sounds like he's just highballing everybody. I mean, we heard the Boston rumors, and that's one I would have done as well, getting Jaylen Brown. I forget who the other piece was, but I love Jaylen Brown. I think he would fit perfectly here in Philly, but I just feel like Daryl is, highballing. He's trying to get the most out of Ben Simmons. I get that, but it's kind of hard. You really don't have leverage when this guy is literally showing he has no character whatsoever.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons.
Give me J.R. Smith. He's not even playing basketball anymore. He was playing golf.
With or without the shirt?
Who the hell knows? Like, seriously, who knows? But we're coming in on close here. We got an extra 5 minutes. So I just want to bring this up. Who's your favorite who's your favorite player from each Philadelphia team? You can go soccer too, hockey. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking, and we're talking the Philly sports teams here.
Yep, Philly sports teams.
For the Eagles, it's still Fletcher Cox. I've loved this guy since he came in the league, and he's still here, so I'm definitely gonna go Fletcher Cox. With the Sixers, obviously Joel Embiid. I don't think we have to explain that one, but man, Joel Embiid has been an absolute a pleasure to watch. And I really want everyone out there who watches Joel Embiid, do not take this for granted. I was too young for Allen Iverson, so I wasn't able to kind of fully grasp what Allen Iverson was. So definitely appreciate and cherish what we're seeing in Joel Embiid because it's truly spectacular. For the Flyers, I have to go Carter Hart. We finally have the goaltender, and he actually has bounced back this season, and I've loved watching him play. with the Flyers team. It just sucks that he's not getting the help that he gets, but he's going to be special. We need to help him. We need to talk about helping Joel Embiid. Help Carter Hart. Jeez Louise. With the Phillies, that one's tough. I don't want to go Bryce Harper here. Feels like that's kind of like obvious there. I'm gonna go Ranger Suarez. Dude,
Ooh.
this guy turned up. He got his opportunity, right? Where we're saying, yo, just put him in the starting lineup. Stop putting him out there with Spencer Howard. He was saving Spencer Howard in all those starts. He got his opportunity. He did not look back. Love Ranger Suarez with that lefty. It's absolutely dangerous. And then I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Union here. To me, it's Alejandro Bedoya. This man has been the captain of this team for now. He's going into the 7th season. He is from North Jersey. He's a Colombian American as well, but the dude literally acts like he's from Philadelphia. He will curse you the F out. He plays with so much intensity, and he just represents the city. So I have to go with Ali Bedoya, man.
All right, man, that sounds good. And dude, so for mine, for the Eagles, Sixers aspect, Sixers, Embiid. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Exactly, bro.
And for the Eagles, I gotta go Devontae Smith here.
He's fun.
I'm going Devontae Smith. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah,
His
man.
wide receiving skills, the route running, ability to get open and all that. He's my favorite player on the Eagles. I just have to get a jersey now. It's been 1 year. That's the next jersey I'm getting.
Mitch, I can't get that catch in Denver out of my head. Like, beautiful. Beautiful, man.
Yeah. I mean, at least he can make the catch unlike Rager.
So
you know
true.
what? Real quick. Give me your thoughts on Whiteside.
He definitely has to be gone. Like, there's no way he can come back. And don't give me this enforcer. He's the best blocking wide receiver BS. No. Listen, to me, block for a wide receiver as important as your point guard knocking down his free throws. Yes, Ben Simmons. So I don't want to hear that. You got to go out and get a big body wide receiver that can catch, man. And enough with this crap. Let's move on from him. Please, Howie, please. And Nick.
I really want to know, is Howie Roseman actually looking on social media? Like, are they actually looking on social media about, like, Barnett, Dillard, Whiteside and Rager? I wonder if they're actually looking to see what the fans have to say.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see if they actually do look into what we have to say. But I mean, I guess they do, right? Because they started running the ball. We were just chanting, we were screaming, we were cursing, run the damn ball, and it finally worked.
What, an all-time starting 5 for the Sixers, or I guess for the Sixers?
I did this. I did this. I think last year on TikTok. What did I have? I had Allen Iverson at the 5. What else did I have?
You mean at the 1?
Embiid. I mean, depending who you ask, someone's probably gonna put Will Chamberlain. I'll put Will at the 1, Joel at the 4. Oh my God! But you still have like Dr. J and Moses.
This is really tough. So for me, what I went the more traditional route. So I had Maurice Cheeks, Allen Iverson.
That's probably better.
Julius Erving, Joel Embiid, Will, and Charles Barkley was my 6th, and then Moses Malone and all that.
I really like that. That'd be mine too, man.
Yeah. I mean, you got to respect Maurice Cheeks. Not a lot of people talk about him, or World Be Free. I'm telling you.
I think it's because he was a bad coach, but that should not hinder on him as a player because he was a really good player.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for coming on, man. It was a real pleasure just talking sports with you. So let the people know where they can find you at.
Absolutely, man. First off, Mitch, thank you so much for having me on. This was a fun, brother. Hey, guys, if you are interested, man, please check out content. We do Philly sports content every day. We recap after every Philly sporting event from the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, and the Union. All on my YouTube channel. You can find that under El Parcero Philly. If you want to check me out on Twitter, it is actually on the screen, the Twitter handle, @Parcero Philly. And of course, we are also on TikTok as well, El Parcero Philly. We post a lot on there, as Mitch can attest to as well. But it's a lot of fun. We just bring good vibes. We talk Philly sports. We do keep it real. That's the one thing we try to do, but we just try to have fun with it, man. The Philly sports, like I said earlier, can be a dark place. So let's just have some fun with it. Let's be positive about it as much as we possibly can. And I'm just trying to do my piece, man. That's all it is.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on again.
Thank you, man.
We can do this again soon. Anytime you want.
Sir.
Just hit me up when you're running back.
Yes, sir, man.
Yeah.
Sounds good, Mitch.
Yeah. Guys, make sure you subscribe to them. Subscribe to Spotlight Sports Network. The links are in the description. Subscribe, like, do all that stuff. We'll catch you all later. Peace.
I heard they want the news. Well, we got it just for you. What's your team? Who your player? Who your crew? I heard they want the news. The spotlight is on you, and if you in the hot seat, it's times two. I heard they want the news. Come tune in to the crew, but we got the hook up just like black and blue. I heard they want the news. Spotlight Sports, what it do? Hit subscribe and that like button too. I heard they want the news. Da-na-na-na.